I was grinding. I'm talking 13, 14 hours a day. The biggest thing that knocks people out of the game in Hell Week is not knowing what's coming. Because what I'm discovering is a lot of people, they think they're entrepreneurs, but they're not. They're just high paid salespeople. God love them, they suck. Are you a CEO or are you a great team player? What question could I have asked that would have revealed the result of that appointment 30 minutes ago? You got to be able to follow before you can lead. There's certain people in life that want to suck the nectar out of life. I'm talking. So in America, so if we put me and Ron next to each other, one of us is going to die of cancer. All right, y'all. Welcome, Haven. Real Talk. Mac Agabor here. A couple of questions before we go into the two topics at play. I want you to understand that this is the elite, meaning this is the Marines. You have to first, in order to successfully negotiate, keyword, successfully negotiate this process, is you have to know who you are. When I say successfully negotiate, I mean that really. Some of you know that phraseology that came from G.I. Jane. And what that means is the Marines, when they go through their training, it's a mind game. These are folks that are, hard. They know how to work out. They've been doing what they've been doing. And so folks know that when it comes to going through Hell Week and all that stuff, it ain't about ability, it's about here. So to successfully negotiate, what does that mean? Well, you got to know what terms you need to negotiate, what you don't. The biggest thing that knocks people out of the game in Hell Week is not knowing what's coming. They're exhausted, right? And that one next thing is when they hit that bell, go home to mommy, all that stuff, right? So here's what I'm going to share with you. You need to know who you are. First things first, are you a CEO or are you a great team player? A lot of people who thought they're good CEOs, they suck at being CEOs of their life. They realize that they're great team players. What do I mean by that? A CEO, here's what I'm going to tell you. There's a book called How to Become a CEO. It's legit, How to Become a CEO. What does that mean? One of the things he says in that book is a CEO, you must, and in order to prepare yourself, so if you're training and grooming someone to be a CEO, you need to make sure that person, maybe that's you, you do something long, hard, lonely for a long time by yourself. Now, if you can do that thing and you come out unscathed, what does that mean? You're not, life sucks, you're like, you come out like those Indians going on that vision quest, triumphant. You've seen a vision. You were meant to be CEO. And again, I'm saying all this, not saying that CEO is what it's all about. Listen, there is no such thing as a CEO if there were not great team players. If your purpose is not to be a great team player, it's to be a CEO. If your purpose isn't to be a CEO, it's to be a great team player. Some of us think we are who we're not. And so we're occupying roles that are not our strong suit. My recommendation is find out who you are. And if you're the great team player, be the best dang team player you can be. Because what I'm discovering is a lot of people, they think they're entrepreneurs, but they're not. They're just high paid salespeople. That's a difference. An entrepreneur creates systems where they don't have to work forever. Whereas a small business owner, you just basically build a business for a lifestyle. There's a difference. An entrepreneur mentality, it's completely different. So there's this social media kick about, living the dream and all that stuff. All I'm just trying to say is don't get lost in all the hype, the propaganda about being as an entrepreneur. Because I'm not saying a person can't grow into it. You just have to educate your expectations early so that you know what battles you can confront. Because if you confront the wrong battle and that's not who you are, you will get crushed. And one of the things we know from war, Sun Tzu, the art of war, you look at any general, number one rule so you don't get killed in war, you never ever fight a two-front war. You're just asking for trouble. So if you got, your army, you got two people coming against you, you're done. The only way you win is you have to outflank them. Get both armies on one. If you go, I don't care if you're outnumbered. You look at Napoleon, the greatest general there was, outnumbered, he found a way every time to outflank them. And outnumber, I'm talking 2, 3, 4 to 1. He always won. So that's the question for you is if you think you're someone and you're not, you're fighting a war that is foreign to you because you're going to confront different battles that person who you're not will confront. Plus, you're confronting your own battle of who you are. You're going to lose. So discover that. Are you a CEO or are you a great team player? And if you're a great team player, present yourself that way. What does that mean? Be coachable. Great team players are coachable. They are, hey, what do you need? I will do it. Okay. What else do you need to work on? And for me, I'm not about being the guy. When I got on teams, I didn't want to lead. I just wanted to serve. And if you want to serve, you will act that way. And acting that way, guess what's going to happen? People are like, man, you serve good. You want to lead? That's what's going to happen. But all I'm saying is just decide who you want to be and humble yourself and be that person. Because if you are, you'll not only thank yourself, but that's going to be your gift to the world. You're going to be the greatest team player who became a service person. And I know I didn't really want to segue myself to it, but George Washington, he was a great team player because he was such a good team player. You know what people said to him once the whole war was done? Could you lead us, please, George? He said, now I want to be your king, right? So I'm just saying, like, some of us, we're trying to lead before we're ready. You got to be able to follow before you can lead. I'm talking follow like a Marine. A Marine. I mean, yeah, you're a bad mamma jamma on your own, but you know what the Marine's great at? Following orders. Following orders for the sake of it. They will die for the team. That's what we're looking for. So I say that to say this. We are looking for specific elite. And as you build your business, you'll have two options, or rather you'll have two things that happen. You'll see people who they come into the business, but the challenge with it, and I'm telling you this out loud because some of you are not at the stage where you're building an agency yet, which you should, but I want to help maybe think out loud. You can build a business where you're just looking to make money, or you can build a team, a group, a posse, right? For me, it's always about building a team. And in order to build a team, you start with a base, a foundation. The foundation. What does that mean? Well, what are we looking for? We are looking for people who, and I keep going back to the Marines. You can go to the Army. You can go to the Navy if you're looking for ease. I'm not saying, hey, don't hate me if you guys are military. You guys know what it is, right? Army, Navy, Air Force. But man, I want you guys to ask yourself a question. You may not have been in the military, but why do Marines choose to be Marines? I mean, right? Think about that. I mean, those folks are kind of cray-cray. Like, here's what I'm gonna tell you. There's certain people in life that want to suck the nectar out of life. I'm talking, that straw, that drink that you love, that is so good you want to keep sucking. There are certain people in life that are just want to just float by, barely make it. There are other people that like, they like the extras too. They'll work a little bit hard for it. But my experience of Marines, and I was gonna be one, but they wouldn't let me in because my feet were too flat. Whether I would have got in or not, who knows? But my perception of Marines is they want to suck everything. If there's something to be accomplished, they want it. Now, whether you were a Marine or whether you were a supporter, maybe you're part of the Navy, maybe you support the Marines, you get them to where they need to go to. That's cool too. But just understand who you are so that you can properly represent yourself. Because this business will require different things of you. And if you say, hey, I'm not a hardcore, I'm just a Navy dude. Like, I just get you to where you need to go. Cool. We got you. But understand that will, be different things. So that's it. Let's fast forward. All right. We're going to talk about certain things that you should know as a professional. Whenever you join a new job, there's different knowledge bases that you should have. And so I'm just going to jump into it. One of the things that will make you distinguish yourself as an expert are basic things. Let me reference this to English. In English, you can speak English and people think of you as a commoner. But did you know that the difference between being considered intelligent and common is a difference of like, I think it's like 42 words, 42 to 62 words. That's it. Like, it's the same English, but if you use words like complacent, vacillate, like these are words that they mean the same as you can use normal English words. But if you use these like 40 to 60 words in your normal vocabulary or add them to it, when people think of you, they will say, man, that person is really intelligent, just because you use those words. Same concept. How do you distinguish yourself from being a common English speaker to someone who's intelligent? How do you distinguish yourself from being a common life insurance agent to someone who is an expert? Well, here's some things I'm going to tell you. Basics knowledge of how you share the same information. I'll give you an example. You should know that the top 5, at least, if not 10 causes of death. How would that help you? Well, when you're sharing the things they qualify for, you think that could help? Let me share with you some of them. Number 1 cause of death in the United States, by the way, is heart disease, like heart attack. Number 1 cause of death, whether you're healthy, old, whatever else. It can happen to a 50-year-old and happen to a 20-year-old, right? Yeah, heart attack. Here's some facts for you that will help you. 1 in 5 die of a heart attack. Of all deaths, 1 in 5, it's a heart attack. You know what that sounds like? So, Mr. Jones, what got you thinking about this? Is it something that, did your health change or did someone pass away recently? No, someone passed away or whatever. Well, or yeah, my health's kind of changing. Got it. Like what happened? He may tell you his health situation. Yeah, Mr. Jones, I know this isn't your situation, but right now, whether you're healthy or young, 1 in 5 people are dying of heart attack, of heart disease. So I mean, if you count, and I put it in perspective. If you put 5 men and 4 other men next to you, 1 of you are going to die of a heart attack or some kind of heart disease. That's crazy, right? Boom, that puts it in perspective. Number 2, cancer. This is like facts, y'all. Cancer. 1 in 2 men in America will die of cancer, y'all. 1 in 2 men, 1 in 3 women. This is facts. So in America, so if we put me and Ron next to each other, 1 of us is going to die of cancer. Or 1 of us will not die. 1 of us will get cancer. Apologize. Let me clarify that. We will get cancer. Now, if you're talking to a client about living benefits and you say, Mr. Jones, hey, Darrington, one of the great things about this policy is it has living benefits, which means that if you got sick, you can actually get access to the policy while you're alive. Because, Mr. Jones, did you know, just because of being an American, what we eat, what's in our food, who knows what other reasons, 50% of men will get cancer. Like, if there were between me and you, 1 of us will get cancer. You let that sink in for a second. He's like, wow, he thought he was healthy. You see how these small facts make all the difference? It brings home the power of what we're doing, because that means that you are 50% shot that you will be getting the disease. And then when you get the disease, who do you got to back you up? What policy do you have to back you up? You got none. 1 in 3 women. We're talking about the wife. So you put 3 women together, 1 of you are getting cancer. Is this helping anybody? I sure hope so, because this is the real life we're living in right now. This is why we do life insurance. Heart attack, stroke. Number 3, accidents. When you're talking about the reason we do the MOO GAD, the reason I add it every time, the number 3 cause of death in the US is accidents. Trip and fall, hit your head, car. Guys, it happens. It's the number 3 cause of death. So when you're saying, hey, one of the things that you'll get as part of this policy is if you were to die of an accident, which, by the way, is the number 3 cause of death next to cancer and heart attack, is it would pay a lot to your family. I'm talking, hey, Marsha, do you ever see people texting and driving? Yeah. Like, what if it was you? where they hit, and then you're gone. So if that happened, and you see how I did that? Facts tell, stories sell. Some of us, all we're doing is just giving facts. I'm telling you, facts is not going to do anything. You have to relate it into real life with people. The number one paid people in sales are storytellers. So you have to find a way to transfer what your facts are into stories. You see how I did that? Hey, do you ever have or see people texting and driving? Guess what came to their mind? That situation, this image. I mean, let's say you and the missus are driving and some idiot is just texting driving, boom, hits you, and both of you are gone. You left your kids. I mean, come on. Here's the great thing about this policy we're setting in place for you today. It'll pay them over $300,000. Would that take care of business for them? Yep. Now I just brought into picture what this will do for them. That's the difference. Number 3 cause of death. So you got a fact, and then you got the story. Fact, the story. If all you did was just relay the facts, if you die of an accident, this what happens. Man, they ain't even think about that. They're like, I ain't gonna die of an accident. Well, it's the number 3 cause of death, Mr. Jones. So I would love to believe that, but it's happening to people right now. Right now. 7% of the population just died today of an accident. Number 4, stroke. I didn't get the fact of that one, but strokes do happen, whether you're young or old. It does happen. Actually happened to my brother-in-law. He was young too. And then, of course, respiratory problems is number 5. 6 is Alzheimer's. 7 is diabetes. So these are just a couple of things that you should know. I would say from 1 to 5, 1 to 4 at least, you should know those facts. 1 in 5 people will die of a heart attack. A big one is cancer. That's huge. So just hopefully that helps. But these are just these small little changes that I think if you simply add them to your repertoire, you're to find that it's the gravy train. And when you start doing research on top producers, you're going to notice everything seems the same. I'm going to use an example. Dennis Rodman. He was a defensive player of the year. He hustled. You know the difference with Dennis Rodman was? It wasn't what he did in the middle. It was what he did at the end. That small difference. The ball is going out. He lets it go out? No, you don't know Dennis Rodman. He was known as a hustler. Like he would go with the extra mile to prevent the ball from going out. He was a rebound king some way, somehow. So what I'm telling you is success and failure are separated by just a few degrees. It's just a small tweaks. You add this, add there. Same thing with top producers. When you see them doing presentation, you'll say, man, that looks the same. That's like regular. But what you find is the difference between top producers and mediocre producers is top producers ask more questions. First things first. Second, they ask better questions. It's like a scalpel. They literally know how to chop up the client's problem in a way that is so well carved. They hand it to the client. They're like, this is great. Whereas mediocre producers, new producers, they don't know how to chop up the situation, chop up the problem, because the problem is hidden in the iceberg. It's hidden in the fat. You got to learn how to chop it up. And so the quality of their questions will determine what the result of the appointment is. And they'll be able to know from a couple of questions up front if it's even worth it to them. Or they'll find out this is a client that's worthwhile. Here's an example. The first 10 minutes of the conversation, you should be able to disengage from that client or move forward if you're doing your job right. If in 10 minutes, 10 minutes is kind of long, but it's not bad. I would say 7 is what I discovered. If in 7 to 10 minutes, you made the judgment call to continue with that client, and then 40 minutes later, they pull the rug from under you, guess whose fault that is? That's on you. Just being real with you. It happened to me enough times. I'm like, when it would happen to me, the question you should ask yourself is, what question could I have asked that would have revealed the result of that appointment 30 minutes ago? And when I was new, I was like, no, I asked him all the questions. I mean, I look at the script. It was all there. I mean, he just, and then you would complain and complain. The top producers who are new producers, they reach up. They ask their mentors, hey, here's the situation. Here's what the person said. What would you have done differently? What question would you have asked? And you know what I'm going to suggest that you don't be an asshole. Don't be that person. You say, hey, what question would I ask? What would you have done differently? They tell you, but I did that. Well, if you did it, guess what wouldn't have happened? That. Now, you may have said the words, but saying the words and communicating are two different things. You guys get me? You can say the words with the wrong notes, wrong tonality. That is why when I went to a training, you have to recognize that these top producers, they are like musicians. Think about violinists. You can try to make the same note, but can we agree that versus it's a little bit different, right? Same concept. When I went to a training, not only did I write down notes, people call me crazy. I recorded the whole presentation so that when I went back to listen to it, I'd be like, how did he say it again? And just let me share the story for one minute. This is the reason when it was in February of 2020, 2021. I was about to quit the business because I don't want to say struggling. I was helping over 20 families a month, which we know 20, it's about 1,000 per family. So I was doing about 20 grand a month, but I was working. I mean, I was grinding. I'm talking 13, 14 hours a day. And I'm like, again, I'm a grinder. I know how to work, but I'm like, man, I'm doing all this work. I'm doing 20, I'm depositing about 15. You would think I would be happy, but what was frustrating to me is I'm used to building something. I'm seeing other people working just as hard as I am, and they're having 60, 70, $100,000 months. I'm like, I am better than these people. Not that way. I'm like, I'm just as good. And if I am just so bad, I'm only able to do 20, and this is too stressful for me. I'm gonna go find something else. By the way, I never found something else. So I had job interviews out. I was more, I had interviews for the police department, some state job. And man, when you've been used to making 15 a month, ain't no job gonna pay you that. Like you go to the interview and say, how much would it pay you? 75. Like, really? When you used to, I mean, come on. So all I'm saying is I go to this training and I was ready looking for something. These two guys talked about how they set the table. Now, granted, guys, I had listened to the trainings. I was studious. I was meticulous. I thought I was, but here's what happens. There's three stages that the human being, they transpire these three stages when they're learning something new. First stage, they're learning it for themselves. And when you're learning it for yourself, what you don't recognize is you're learning, but it's like drinking out of a fire hydrant. You miss things. You think you got it all, but you don't. It is what it is. Second stage, you're learning it to teach it. So, you're getting better. And so the vantage point of a teacher, you guys remember if you've ever played, maybe Pee Wee basketball or try to coach Pee Wee kids. When you play, you just play. But when you're coaching kids, you got to think differently, right? You got to think, how would I teach kids this? So you're in a different vantage point of how to transfer it to someone else. Stage 3 is you're learning it to teach, and you're actually teaching it. That's stage 3. So I thought I learned it. This stage, I'm writing it down. So I actually recorded these people sharing their introduction, how they did. These folks were doing both 60,000 a month. I went home. I mean, as I'm hearing, I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And mind you, prior to this, I would go through this whole presentation, and you guys know me. Like, part of the problem is I was so exhausted emotionally. And I'm saying this to you so that if you feel like this, I've been there. I give all I got to these families. When I would go to your house, man, I would give everything to you. I would kiss a dog, and not because I was feigning it. I legit meant it. I really care about these people. I go through this whole presentation. I want to think about it. No, I mean, I'm like, what the? Are you crazy? You just told me. And I would be just spent. I'm thinking, I went through all this and you don't want to do it. And emotionally, I was done. So I go back once I hear what they said and I recorded it. And I literally practiced on it. I'm talking in front of the mirror. When they would inflict their voice, guess who did that? I did too. I said, oh, and these micro changes that I did not recognize in the beginning. And guys, that training was the first part of the week. Remember, I've been working all month and I was only doing 20, 20, 20. The training was the first part of the week of February. Despite having one less week that month, I did 42,000. Literally, I mean, I literally copied word for word what they said. Didn't deviate. Then the next month, I did 58,000. Then next month, I think I did like 62. Then I got as high as like 85. I mean, it was stupid. Like, I didn't even believe it, right? What was the difference? And guys, I am trying to be so real with you that your experience of the business is not the business. It's your experience. Take the glasses off, your perception. As long as you think that you are the definition of your experience, then sure, you can go with that. You can choose to believe that that's you, or you can choose to believe, no, I am not uniquely defective. I am as good. I can read. There are people, guys, there are people that God love them. They suck, meaning they are not as good as you. They have not gone through what you've gone through. They don't have half the training you do, but they are winning. And so here's my conclusion in saying all this, and I'll move on. There are a lot of great people that come into this business. I'm talking skilled, more than me. But those skilled people, I'm talking the best salespeople on God's green earth. They come and they go. They come in here, they're gone. You know what the difference is between the people that come and stay? Are the ones that are built on personal development. They're taking their medicine. Their ego is in check. I think I was talking to Anna out there earlier today. The difference between me, I'm so used to winning. I mean, man, it ain't because I'm an ego. Listen, I just put everything I got into it. Everything I've done, I win. It ain't because I'm smart. I just go at it. But you know what God prepared me for coming into this business? I had to slow down. When I had that tumor, had 5 surgeries in like a year and a half, and I'm so used to going. Man, my knee was messed up. I had to go, even though I wanted to walk, I couldn't walk. I literally wanted, but the body heals how the body heals. You know what I'm saying? I had to literally slow down, focus, go do something else. So I learned patience. I learned that, man, I'm going to suck walking for a little bit. And so when I came to this business, I was actually okay to embrace that I would suck for a little bit. That was the game changer for me. And so when I would recruit these top producers, I'm like, bro, hey, this gal, like, you're going to crush it. You're so good. You've done this. And they would wash out. I'm like, what the, like, is it me? Am I like, what is it? It was because of their ego. Their ego would not let them be bad enough, long enough to get good. That's what happened. And they should have. I should be doing this. I should be making this. And they would should all over themselves. The difference between me is I educated my expectations early. I said, how long does it take for someone to go from 0 to competent here? They told me 100 appointments, Mac. Like, until you run 100 appointments, you got no right at all. You're not even qualified to judge the business. You're not. It's as stupid. I say that word on purpose. It is as stupid as a kid saying, you guys are hurt. You got some of y'all got kids. I'm never going to get married. Girls got cooties. Really? Like, if you're a parent, you're like, It's as stupid as believing that the kid's never going to get married. It's that stupid. If you haven't run 100 and you're not committed to that, then it's your ego. So again, separate yourself from your ego. Don't look at the scoreboard. You know what I said to myself is, okay, so the question is, can I last? It's like the Marines, Hell Week. Can I last 100 appointments? What will it take for me to last? Some of you, it's finances. Do you have enough leads? Like, if you knew, and this is the question you got to ask yourself, if you knew that at 100 appointments, it would unlock the safe to the information, knowledge, skill you needed to make 10, 20, 30 grand a month. What would you do to get whatever resource you lacked to make sure you hit 100 appointments? You would do whatever. So the question is not whether or not it's 100 appointments. The question is whether or not you believe. You believe in one of 3 things. So if you're not willing to do that, do what you got to do to get those 100 appointments, stay, it's because of a lack of belief in one of these 3 legs. You need to determine which one it is and go work on it. If you won't work on it, then my recommendation is leave now. I say that with all love. I say that with all love because I believe we all can do this, but not everything is for everyone. That's not to say this isn't for you. It is your choice. If you choose for this not to be for you, sayonara, with love. Go do what God wants you to do. Go do underwater basket weaving. There are kids in China that need love. Like, go do something else. But leave now. Here's the 3 things. You don't believe in yourself. And if you don't, borrow ours. You don't believe in your leadership, or you don't believe in your company. Those are the only three things, y'all. So you need to ask yourself, which one of these is lacking that is preventing me from being willing to sacrifice? Because that's what's going to take. Sacrifice. And I've seen this. Dude, I've seen people donate plasma. I did. I donated plasma, y'all. Now, not for leave, but for something else. When I was broke like a joke after the whole tumor situation, man, I knew I wasn't going to live driving a truck on Milkman, barely making it. I'm like, I got to do something else. I have to be trying. You know what I did? I started a YouTube channel, but I needed money to get parts to go show what I was doing. You know what I did? I want to go donate plasma. I want to go sell this, sell that. Figured it out. So the number one resource here is because I believed in myself. I believed that I had value. The question is, do you believe in yourself? And it doesn't got to be plasma, but it got to be something. You got to sacrifice. We've had Elijah. I mean, Elijah was here. When he came on board, I said, you got to sacrifice something. He sold his PlayStation, sold his PS4. Number one thing he wanted, he loved, that distracted him from his situation. That was like his gold. It was maybe $200, but for him, it was $2,000, right? He sold it. I said, man, listen, the Mac is a sucker for folks that are willing to win. Listen, I will go to battle for you. I'll give everything. I will give you the shirt off my back. I will drain my bank account for you because I know what it's like to be broke. I told my spiritual leader, I told my kids, I've been in the food stamp aisle with the Monopoly money. I said, never again. I am never going back that way. I remember how embarrassing it was walking with groceries, cold, walking an hour. No, no more. So that hits me straight home. But the problem is there are people that come in that are in tough situations. They say they want it and they don't, because I remember when I wanted it, I would do whatever it took. So I don't want to get too much on that. All I'm saying is those are the three things. Remember them. Decide now, are you willing to be bad enough, long enough to get good? Because that is what it will take. Because those people, once you identify yourself as a true elite, a true Haven Marine, welcome, because it's about to get gravy. And here's where it's about to get gravy. We know that you will never go back. And here's the cool thing. If you can't go back, you must go forward. And if you must go forward, failure is not an option. That's what we're looking for, the folks that can't go back. So I'm going to fast forward to the second thing we talked about today. How to justify premiums. The scripts that we ask. Oh, sorry, they got some questions on here. I'm seeing Ron. I'm gonna throw this out now. Would there be any reason if we found something that checked off most of the boxes, fit the budget? Oh yeah, thank you, Ron. You're just sharing that. Yeah, fit the budget, and you could medically qualify, that we wouldn't put in an application to see if you can get approved. Absolutely. Those small little tweaks, they guarantee that you're actually going to have success at the end of the sale. And if you go to the end of the sale and you ask the client, they like the coverage, they say, you ask the client for the check and they say no, they got to think about it, you better call them out, because they're either a liar. I mean, hey, Ron, I'm a little bit confused. And, back in the very beginning, remember I asked you if you can find something that fits the budget, I think you can qualify, and you like the coverage, that you said that there would be no need to, there would be no reason we wouldn't submit the application. Now, I mean, you seem like a person that's pretty honest. I'm calling out your integrity right now. Yeah, for real. Because you're just wasting my time at this point, and that's not cool. You seem like a pretty honest person. So, Ron, what changed between that time and now? Well, okay. So, Ron, there's normally only three reasons people, say that. It's either because they think it's too expensive, they don't understand the coverage, so I confused them, or they don't see a value in the coverage. Which one is it for you, Ron? Yeah, just a little expensive. Oh, thank you for being on. Boom. Now we can go somewhere. But when people say that stuff and you don't call them out, how can you flush out an objection and smoke it out if you don't even call them out on it? Now you think it's your problem. Now you think, oh, I did something wrong. No, they did something wrong. Truly, you did, because you could have called them out better. But you guys see what I'm saying? So thank you, Ron, for sharing that. All right. So fast forwarding to justifying the premiums. You have to get good at getting the why. I think for me, it's natural, because I have a natural desire. I'm just interested in people. Like I'm like literally curious. I mean, if there was a sport called people watching, I would be, I would sign up because people are really interesting to me. So I ask these questions just naturally. But for some of us, it doesn't come naturally because we're still trying to do a job instead of trying to serve. I want you to think about that different. There's a difference. If you're trying to serve someone, how can you serve someone if you don't know how? Think about that for a second. Think about a girl that you want to date, a guy that you want to date, you're going after. If it was me, I didn't know this girl, I would do a hell of a research, right? If you knew some of their friends, you would ask them, hey, what is this person like, right? So that you could know how to entice them, right? How to show them that, you want them. You would get their favorite book, favorite this, favorite that. You would ask questions to find out how you can help them. It's natural. I told my kids who they tell me, how, well, how when kids are cleaning stuff, they suddenly just miss stuff. I'm like, I didn't see that. Oh, I didn't know how to do that. Well, the question I ask is, did you ask? No, I didn't know I needed to. Well, let me ask you this. When you're playing that video game and you don't know how to get to that level, you just sit there? No, I checked. My point is the same, y'all. The number of questions you ask is truly determined, or how well you ask the question is determined by how much you want to serve that person. That's the truth. So if you're asking about the why and you only ask, um, most people get this because, you're trying to leave a burden, or not leave a burden, or leave extra. What was your reason? I'll leave extra. Okay, cool. And you just move on. That is so surface level. And maybe you don't know what you don't know. But what I'm telling you is, if you really, really wanted to serve this person, naturally you would ask, who is the person we're trying to protect? So you want to not leave a burden. Got it. Well, if it was me and someone said I want to leave a burden, I would naturally ask, well, burden is all relative. Like, what's a burden to you, right? I mean, think about it. Burden could be 10,000, 5,000. How much burden does this person have that we're leaving? So all I'm telling you is you got to ask deeper questions to justify the premium. Once you ask those questions, and we're talking final expense, what will the pain look like? You have to find out the person that will be left with the burden. How much heavy load will they have to lift? That's what you must find out. If the person that you're talking to, the client, does not do this, how heavy would be the burden? Is it $30,000 worth? Is it $20,000 worth? Is it $10,000 worth? That is what you're trying to find out. So what I'm telling you is, if the question you're asking does not clearly identify how heavy the burden will be on the beneficiary, you haven't done your job. And when you do your job halfway, you will get exposed. Because when you get to the very end, because you didn't identify how heavy the burden is, they will say crazy things like, I want to think about it. But think about it this way. If I did my job and identified that, man, you're leaving a 60,000-pound burden for Rachel, for Gina, for Valerie, for Marsha, for Serena. And if you identified well enough that they actually love this person, and think about it, you're putting in their face, you're saying, hey, $60,000, 60,000-pound burden you're putting on these people. If they truly love this person, you're telling me they ain't going to choose an option. So the question at the end is going to be, so Mr. Jones, option one is lift the full 60 pounds. Option two is lift 40 pounds off the burden. Or option three is just lift 30 pounds off the burden. Which one do you like the best and feel you can afford? You guys see what I'm saying? I hope you guys are getting this. So for me, it ain't about life insurance. It's about the burden being left for the client. So, hey, Mr. Jones, I know your heart's in the right place. You want to take off the whole $60,000 burden, 60-pound burden, 60,000-pound burden, but it's critical that you have to be able to sustain this. So which one of these three, if the AC broke, 2 flat tires, tough month, could you for sure make sure that you didn't have to worry about it? It didn't bring you anxiety. He'll say, option three, option two, I'll take off the 30,000-pound burden. Got it. And the beautiful thing about this, Mr. Jones, is when you get in a better situation, I know you want to take off the full 60,000 pounds from Rachel, but you can actually increase it. But would you not agree it's better to take off and guarantee that you lift some off than none off? Or say you're going to lift all of it off and then you can't do any of it? They're like, yep. You guys see what I'm saying? You put it in such clear terms. It's not about money anymore. It's about love. This is the greatest demonstration of love on earth. That's why this is God's work. I mean, it's selfless. So that's for final expense. Let's transition real quick to IULs and permanent insurance. How do you justify $500 a month, $1,000 a month? It's all about justification. Those questions you ask prior to, that is what will justify the premium. You have to be almost, I don't say a preeminent strike, but you're shaping the client's thoughts on where to go. You're shaping their thoughts on where to go. That's what's key. So here's what that looks like. The easiest way to shape their thoughts on higher premiums when it comes to permanent insurance is to do so based on what life they want to live when they're done. What does that mean? Well, when it comes to insurance, so it's called the, you guys remember I told you earlier about that score, the financial independence score? The financial independence score, if you don't know what that is, it's how much money do you need to live comfortably at the end? You got to get so good at identifying that. People don't even realize how exposed they are. If you can help them realize how exposed they are, they will naturally pay the money. But the challenge is you put them and leave them in a false sense of security. So they think they can pay less than what they're paying. They don't realize that with their current income, I'm talking 95% of America by age 65 will be broke, dead broke, or living on friends, family, or the government. Like broke. Not, I mean, talking broke, y'all. They don't get that. You have to bring it to their attention. Well, what does that mean? Well, you calculate from their current age. 30 years old, most people retire at 65, right? 65. So let's calculate it. And really, it's not 65 anymore. It's more 70. So you subtract 70 minus their current age. So if they're 40, let's say 40, they got 30 years left of working years. You guys get me? Okay. How much do they currently make a year? They make, let's just say $100,000 a year. All right. 100 grand a year. Not bad. They say you can live on about half of what you currently live on in your retirement years, because technically your expenses should be less, right? So of that is 50 grand is what you need. Now the key is, so let me back up so we don't confuse anyone. How many years you have left? I want you to write that number down. So from their current age to how long until they retire. Secondly, how much do they make a year right now? Okay. Then the key number then is how long will they live after they retire? And how do you know that number? Well, you look at mortality tables. Average male dies, it's about 76 actually, 76 to 78. This is one of those key numbers you should know as an agent. Average female dies between 82 to 84. Now, you can use it to your advantage. If you can ask the client, hey, how old was your mom, your grandparents? Or hey, are your parents still living? Yes. How about your grandparents? No? Okay, how old were your grandparents when they died? If that number is longer, that's even better. If their parents are dead, that's even better. Let's say that my grandma lived till 85. Got it. So you can say if they're retiring at 70, 85 minus 70, they have to compensate for 15 years of life. Now, how much money do they have to compensate? Well, you remember they were making 100 grand. 15 times 50,000. $750,000, y'all, is what they need to survive, to have some kind of comfortable life post-retirement. You guys, everyone with me so far? I hope everyone's with me. If you got any questions, pop it in the chat. So now you got the number that they need to live comfortably so that they don't live on Uncle Sam, their friends, family, or neighbors. Now you divide that number by how much time is left in their working years. So let's just say the number was 60. You know, they're what? They were 30. Let's just say they're 40. And they want to retire by 70. 70 minus 40, 30 years. You divide 750,000 divided by 30. They have to save, invest, find a way to make an extra, keyword extra, $25,000 a year from today to the day they retire. extra. Where's that going to come from? Ain't what they're doing. They got to do something. If they do nothing, they will be broke. So you divide that amount of money that they need to save extra a year by 12. That means how much should their IUL be? Anyone see that? $2,000 a month, y'all. If they want to have a chance. You see that? So, Mr. Jones, in order for you to be able to have a comfortable retirement, not live on your, the government, your kids, all that jazz, not have to work at Walmart, you actually should be putting $2,000 a month to protect yourself so that you can actually be comfortable. Now, most folks, they can do $2,000 a month. Now, I know most people can't right now. That's why we're looking at this. Here's the question. You know that you are probably in a deficit right now. Do you realize that, like, if you don't do anything that you're in trouble? Yeah. How much can you do right now, Mr. Jones? Now, they were thinking $100 a month before. Now they realize how bad it is. You guys get me? How far they are from the number that they need to not live on the government, on their kids. They're like, what went from $100 a month is now $300 a month. It went from $300 a month, now $500 a month, because this is not just them paying for life insurance. This is an investment in their future. You guys see what I'm saying? Now you just justify $2,000 a month payment. Now, what would be the difference here? If they started early, if they started at 25, they didn't have to do this. That's why you start pushing it, getting referrals, educating the masses on how critical this is. This isn't you trying to get sales, y'all. This is you saving America. You're saving people. If they had just started like 15 years ago, it would be like $200 a month. You see what I'm saying? If you get them early, you saved them. Hope that makes sense for everyone. Any questions you guys got?